Good afternoon, ladies, and Happy New Year. This is Cheryl here. I decided to come to you today and work on a snippet roll. We are doing a snippet roll swap in Junk Journaling Journey, and so I am going to demonstrate. This is probably going to be a two-part video. The first one might be a little bit longer than the second one. I'm just going to jump on the second. I was going to sew this on camera, but I'm really not set up yet to do that. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do this snippet. This is an 18-inch piece of fabric. This is how long the snippet roll is required to be. It can be longer. If you want to make it a few inches longer, you could, but it must be at least 18 inches. If you do more than 18 inches, just know that you may not get, if you do a 24-inch snippet roll, that is fine for the swap, but if you do that, you may only get an 18-inch because that is the requirement. So just know that ahead of time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the process of how I do them. Sometimes I do them the way I'm doing it today. I learned how to do snippet rolls from Nick the Booksmith, and I did link her video on that in the event. And I also really like Paula Lemon, and I linked her videos. I think I linked both of them, part 1 and part 2, in the event so that you could see they do them two different ways, and yet they're both right. They're both right. They're both easy. I like both methods, and so I kind of have my own way of doing it also. So I learned from them, and then as time went on, I kind of do this sometimes. I gather my things together, and I start looking at what I have, and what I do is I take a glue stick, and I only use just a touch of it, just enough to tack it down, to hold it in place so it doesn't like move as I add things. And then I sew it, and I've never had any trouble. I don't glob glue on. I've seen people really glob a lot of glue on their stuff and then try to sew it, and I'm like, I'm not messing up my machine that way. So I just use a little tiny bit, just enough, and sometimes some pins. You can also use pins. I mean, you know, we're sewers, right? A lot of us who do this kind of thing, we've done sewing before, so we know how to pin things too. So either way that you do it, it's okay. But I'm going to use a little bit of glue because it does make it easy. And I'm going to do the base, the basic, base layers of this snippet. And then off camera, I'm going to zigzag stitch it like I normally would, and then I will show you that. And then I may or may not at that point, I may add some more decorations and stuff to it. So we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to do it step by step. So let's get started. So what I've done is I've gone through my things, and I've pulled, I pulled laces, and this was like a doily. I think it was part of this. It was like a big, what do you call them? A runner. A dresser scarf, and I got it at a flea market, so I've been cutting at it. So I have like some of these pretty pieces, and this came off of some kind of little thing like that as well. And I may cut this into several pieces and use that on this snippet. I have some fabrics here that kind of look vintagey. I have lace, and this was actually a ribbon. It is, I should say, it is a wired ribbon. Here's the wire. But if I cut the edges off, this is a fabric ribbon. So this is like a piece of fabric, and I do that a lot. I have some crocheted stuff, you know, all kinds of fabrics that remind me of vintagey type fabrics. I might cut those words out of there that say something fabulous. I might cut a flower out of it. I don't know what I'll do. I have some fabric that I found on sale at Hobby Lobby, and it looked vintagey to me. And here's another piece of that doily, and I might cut that flower off of there and use these pieces separate. There's another little piece of the edge piece. That looks cute. This really hurt me to do this, but these pieces came from an old quilted pillow sham. And it was squares that were quilted together. And I started cutting at it, girls. I didn't want to, because, you know, I hate to cut up something where a lot of work went into it. But I think it might have been store-bought. So, I don't know. I went ahead and I started cutting at it, and I got those two little pieces. I have some other fabric, you know, and some other crocheted pieces that I'm cutting up, and, you know, just all this stuff. Look, here's a piece of chenille. This was a piece of a chenille bedspread, an old chenille bedspread from like the 50s or 60s. I don't know. Another little piece of a doily. All of that, okay? Plus, I have rickrack in 2 different colors and 2 different sizes. I have some floral trim. Oh, look at this. I got this the other day at Hobby Lobby. It was on sale, and it's fabric eyelet. Oh my. That's very nice neutral color. I got it in pink too, but I think I have enough pink stuff here. And here's a trim. I'm sure I get these in all colors. And it's kind of a crocheted looking thing. And, you know, on the top layer, that's going to be pretty. And then, of course, there's always vintage buttons in the end. You know, this is some kind of trim. I may or may not use that with that color. And then there's this. See, girls, you don't have to go out and buy something new every time you do something. Save all your scraps, you know? Like I save everything, pieces of everything. Here's a piece. Look at that. That would be perfect. Look at this linen. This is linen that I used for something. I don't know what. Maybe ruffle. I think I made fabric ruffles out of this, part of this. So there's something that would go on there. Look at this. Look at this blue lace. That's going to be perfect. I mean, you know, save your scraps. Here's a piece of ribbon that is just like, it's fabric. It's a fabric ribbon. I'm going to cut the edges, this rolled up edge. I'm going to cut it off, and it's going to be a piece of fabric from there. That looks vintagey. And then look at this. This is a stamped moth. It didn't come out so good, and I think I stamped it twice, but you know what? It might go on there. And look at that. Oh, that's so pretty. You know, I got to have something shiny, so that might go in there. And I do like vintage, but sometimes I add a little bling, girls. This is a vintagey piece of fabric. I mean, just look at all this stuff. This is a vintagey piece of fabric. And these would not be the base layer. This is probably going to be on the top layer, because I kind of lay a base, and then I work on it. Look at that. See all these pieces? Don't throw these away. Keep all these little pieces, because when you do a snippet roll, then you will have snippet pieces, little snippets of things that you were making and you didn't use it. Look at that. And trim, and here's some more fabric that looks vintagey. I think that was from, I did some kind of quilt squares with that, and it's vintagey. Look at the purple. Look at that. I don't know if I'll use it or not, but I have it. Save everything. So here I have, oh my goodness, I have ruffles. I have fabric ruffles that I haven't done up yet. And these were like Christmas. This is a pink one. This was from a long time ago when I was doing children's journals and I was making Little Mermaid, and this one has seahorses on it. So save all that stuff. Don't get rid of your stuff. You know, this is a ribbon, but it's like fabric. It could be made into cover a tag. Cut this edge off. This wired edge, it just gets cut off, and then you have a piece of fabric. I might even, look at this. Look at that. That's pretty. That might get used. There's another fabric ruffle. This might even get used for some texture, and it's neutral, and it might be like underneath and next to something like lace or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? It can be all kinds of things that you use. So save your snippets. And like these little pieces, I could stamp a word or a butterfly or something on there and then sew it onto my snippet roll. You know what I mean? Save all your little pieces of stuff. And before you go out and buy everything you think you need, when you are going to go and sit down and do something, a project or whatever, start looking at what you already have laying around. Because chances are, if you're saying your craft room is messy and full and everything, chances are you have what it takes and you don't probably need to buy anything. So there you go. I'm going to have that. But anyway, let's get started. So what I do is I kind of create a base layer. This is just a piece of fabric from a bed skirt, like a dust ruffle. I took the crocheted lace off of around the edge of it. It was torn in a couple places. And this is like the perfect weight fabric, and I just tore it. You know, I just cut it and tore it into strips. So I have other strips. So, you know, I'm just going to start laying out pieces as a base. And when I do that, I like to leave a little bit of this pretty edge just hanging over, you know what I mean? A little bit. So what I'm going to do is just put a little strip of glue. Not much. Just a little dab will do ya. And then I lay it down. Just enough to hold it there so it doesn't scooch. You want no scooching. And I'm thinking, what if I put the other piece like here? Or what if I just do it like that? What if I do that? Like that. Yeah, I like it. So here I am, just putting a little bit of glue stick. Laying it down. Laying it down. Okay. There's a little snippet. Goes in the snippet box. All right. So I want something cute. So let me look at my cute stuff. Where's that little? Here's this. No, this isn't it. Here it is. This little piece here. This is cute. So where can it go? I think it can go like right there. It can go like right there, man. And you can leave it hang over a little. It's going to hang over. It's because it's curved. I love that. It's going to hang over just a little bit. It's going to curve in. I love that. So I'm just going to, you know, do this. I hope all of you are going to join in and do this snippet roll thing because it's fun. And lots of people have talked about fabric things, wanting to do things that involved fabric, which I get because I love fabric too, even though and this is how we use it in junk journals, so we can do that. We can do this, you know. I'm going to put that there. Everybody have a happy new year. My new year consisted, when my husband has not been feeling well, whatever bug is going around, he's got it. And so we really didn't do anything. We watched TV, you know. All right, so there's kind of a base. And so the next thing, see this? This is so cute. I love this. This is like, I love it. So I'm going to take a piece of it. And I'm just gonna cut it a little bit. And this is where it gets cute, you know, where you start. And I think I am going to pin a little bit because I'm a sewer and that's what I do. I pin it so that when I go to sew it, you know, I'm going to zigzag stitch and it's going to be all over the place. So, you know. And then after I'm finished, I'm going to cut this edge off. Then when I'm finished, I'm going to trim it up, you know, where I want it. I'm not going to trim these edges off, but anything that's hanging over like this that I don't want hanging over like that, you know, I'm going to trim that off. So let's see, we want these cherries. Let's get some cherries here. I love that. You know, and just know that I'm going to cover up some pieces. Some things are going to get covered up and little bits of it are going to hang out. And that's just the way it goes. And I don't lay everything on here straight. If you lay everything on there straight, I don't know, there's just something about the way that looks. As though it's just too, I don't know what you call it. So I just kind of put the pieces where I want them. You know, and I'm going to pin it in place. So it's starting to shape up. I might not have to do a whole lot of decorating. I don't know. Ooh, sticking to myself. And this is bothering me. Glue it down. Will it stay down? It might. Yeah, I like that. So, what do you think so far? And you know, you can do, this isn't working. You can do small, shorter pieces of snippet just like this. Just when you have time or when you feel like fooling around with it, you know, whatever. And then sew them together. You know, you can join them together with a zigzag stitch. And then you can just keep making it get bigger and bigger and longer and longer. And they'll be different every time. You don't have to use the same things every time. You know what I mean? And then it becomes this. Now my snippet is about 2 inches. About 2 inches, and I really don't want it much bigger than that. I have done them bigger than that, and then I find that I am limited in what I can do with it. You know, this is a Christmas fabric here, but it has berries on it, and it's kind of neutral, and I like it. So it's going on there. Somewhere. Yeah, right there. It's going on there. And, I don't know. Yeah, maybe there. Maybe there. Does this bother you? It bothers me. So I'm trimming it now. It bothers me sometimes. I want to see how it's going to look. This is a great thing to do if you want to just see how it looks and be able to change it around, you know what I mean? So I have all these different, and this was the back of that little quilt thing. This was the back of it. So you guys get the idea here of how it goes and how you can kind of put it together. And then at the very end, you know, you're gonna put buttons and other embellishments on it, you know, so things might get covered up. They might get covered up. Ah, help me, help me. Yeah, like that. And but these are great. You can make clusters. You can cut these in sections and make clusters. You can use them to make pockets. You can make belly bands. You know what I mean? You can do all kinds of things with these snippet rolls. And sometimes I just think it's cool to have a snippet roll just for the sake of having one. Jeez, they're just decorative in and of themselves. I made one time and I sat it up, or I hung it up. It was on a spool, and I put it on my up on my pegboard, and it was like super cool. I don't want to cut this Do I want the other piece? Don't want to cut it anymore, but you know what? I might. And I have so much stuff here, I might have to make a longer piece. Just, cut another piece and just continue on because I'm loving how this is. And I want a long roll of this, man, to use. And this is so neutral, neutral and vintagey, and I love it. What about these dots? I want to use those dots. And, I want to cut this because, I want to do it. So I'm going to do it because and even that's too small a snippet for me. You know what I mean? I'm not totally ridiculous with it. Oh my goodness, just look at this. So what I can do, where's that other piece of that quilt? I'm going to look at it. Okay, girls, I'm going to look at it. Here it is. I really want to put a piece of that on here, but I really don't. But it has blue in it, and we have blue lace. So I think I'm going to put a piece of it on here. And I'm going to make it small. I did it. I'll put it on there. I might put the other piece down here. I want to do that. I wish you could tell me. I wish I could hear you tell me. What should I do? What should I do? Now, after I sew and stitch all this down, then I'll go back and add more. This is like a base layer, and if I had made it longer, I would be using more of this stuff. And so what I would do is take this to the sewing machine. Isn't that beautiful? And it's just not even decorated really yet. But I would take it to the sewing machine, or I am going to take it to the sewing machine, and I am going to sew it. I'm going to sew it down. And let me see here. I'm going to sew it down, and then I'm going to decorate it with little snippets of lace or trims or buttons or whatever. You could leave it this way. It's beautiful. Once it's sewn with the zigzag stitches, you will see what I mean. I mean, it's just, I might cut some words or something and put it on there, because that would just be something fabulous then. But there's all kinds of things, and I didn't even use half of what I pulled out to use, that's because we're making a shorter piece. So you really don't even need that much stuff, girls, to make this, and it's going to be fabulous. And you're going to love it. And they're addictive too, and they're very relaxing. Once you've done one, they're very, it's relaxing to do it. It's kind of like fussy cutting. Gets relaxing, after a while. You just start to enjoy it. So there we go. This is the first part of this snippet roll. I hope I stayed in frame the whole time. So what I will do is I'll probably I'll go over it, and stitch it all down. Make sure every part is stitched down. And then I might even take some embroidery floss and do some cross stitches or some slow runner stitch just to add, or, you know, across this way to add character and make it look like it's something really, you know, handmade and you know what I'm saying? Like a handmade thing. I need a little, maybe a little piece of lace on each end to kind of, that has like a little curve to it or something. You know what I mean? Like something a little different than that, thicker, like a crochet, but that has a little end to it or something, you know. And that all comes once you get all this stitched down. Then you can decide what else you want to add to make it decorative, especially like here. This is pretty just the way it is. I mean, I could add another piece of something to this right now so that it can get stitched down. What about a flower from here? Oh my golly, yeah. What about that? Did I forget? I don't want to completely cover up that shiny stuff. Oh, but see, this is the great part. I can move it around. I can just lay that there and trim that off. And I still got things I can, let's see about see how it helped, that glue just holds it just enough, but you can still move it around and you can still change things around. And I like that because sometimes you feel like changing things around a little bit. You think, you look at it and you think, oh, I need something here, I need something there. And so you do it. So I'm going to pin them now. There we go. Now I feel like I got something hand stitched and embroidered, whatever. So there's my little pieces, and when this is stitched down, you know, it's gonna be better. Sometimes I take a straight stitch along the edge all the way around in like a very neutral color, like a white or a cream. And then for the zigzag stitch, I might choose a color that's in here. I might choose this very pastel pink, and I might do it in that just to add that accent, that handmade, homemade, grandma kind of look to it. You know what I mean? So, and all these little pieces, this little piece that I cut off of there, you know, I'm saving that. I would not get rid of that because I could end up putting that somewhere, you know, or on another piece of the snippet as I continue to make the pieces. And if I had two pieces like this and they were finished, then I could just, let's just pretend that this is the next piece, well, of the snippet, and it looked just like this. I could join these together, put a piece of lace over it or whatever, or just leave it and zigzag it together, and you just keep adding to it, and then eventually you start rolling it. And this spools like this size would be good to keep, to put your snippet roll. You could actually roll this snippet roll on here, and that would be cute. So I might come back then, and after I sew it, I'll come back and do a part 2, and I might add some, you know, things like this on there and pin them down or whatever again, and then go back and sew them. See what I mean? And it starts to look just like the snippet rolls that you have seen other people do once you start doing all this stuff and adding all of it. So anyway, I hope this helps you. If you've never done a snippet roll, I hope it helps you. If you have done a snippet roll and you weren't satisfied or whatever, I hope it helps you. I hope this is another way of doing it that will help you put one together. You know, it doesn't have to be I mean, there are all different ways, which is why I even posted 2 different ways, which I learned. That's how I first learned how to do snippet rolls. But now that I have been doing them a little while, I noticed that I developed this kind of a style. And you know, I have a piece in here because when I did my boho journal, I did a boho snippet roll so that I could do belly bands and a tuck spot. And of course, you know, I'm not going to put my, here it is. I had a whole long piece and I started with a base boho fabric. It was actually a printed fabric that I started with. It was this kind of. And then I just started putting all kinds of laces and little snippets, and I just was sewing them on. I first did a straight stitch, then I went back and did the zigzag stitch, and you can see that. You can see the straight stitch, you can see the zigzag stitch, and I had this whole big long piece, and I ended up using it inside the journal. It was pretty in the end, and I ended up using it as a belly band, I think it was, in the journal. And then I took part of it and embellished it in a certain way and made a closure for that boho journal. So that's another option. You can put these together and use them like that. We're doing vintage, so this is a vintage style. You could actually make one of these and put a button on it or some kind of, you know, closure and use it on your vintage style journal as a closure. It's absolutely a great closure. It worked for the boho journal that I made, and I loved it. So anyway, I hope this helped you. I'm going to come back once I get it sewn, and I'm going to show it to you then, and I'm going to make some decisions about whether I want to add anything else to it or not, because really it is beautiful just the way it is right now. So it just depends on how it looks when I sew it, and I'll look at it a little bit and I'll get back with you. So until that time, have a great rest of your day, and happy crafting. Bye-bye.